Well, hello, my fellow adventurers, and welcome to Lucinda's Adventures. Today, we are going to talk about my Bible study plan for 2026. Yes, I know it's crazy that we're coming up on another year, but we are. And so, these are the tools that I'm going to be using, plus my cover that I've had for ages and ages, and I'll slip that on in a minute. All right, but let's go ahead and get started on these. So this is the Bible carrying case that I have had for literally decades. I bought it from Avon, believe it or not, a long time ago. It's still hanging in there, so I'm continuing to use it. A couple of changes about what I'm doing inside of here, and I know this thing takes up like the whole screen, but we're going to get away from that in a moment. But I was previously using this Christian Orthodox Study Bible reading plan. It's a one-year reading plan, and I really did enjoy that. But once I finished being a catechumen and converting and being baptized into Orthodoxy, I've been a Christian my whole life, but once I became Orthodox Christian, then I started following the lectionary of the readings for each day, and that's been established since the apostles. And so then I would still read some other things a little bit, but I wasn't really, in addition to that, but I wasn't really following this anymore. But I still wanted to keep that in case at some point I want to add this kind of schedule. I don't know. It's it's just so pretty and colorful. I don't want to get rid of it. Yeah. So I'm keeping that. And then this is actually the cover that came with the Bible, which is so beautiful. I love it so much. So I'm just keeping that stored in here with some little note pages that really need to be cleaned out. But that is that. And then I did this, put these tabs on there back when I got the Bible, which I was like, oh, when did I get this? So I got it in November of 2023. I got them from Amazon. They are in my Amazon store. I love that they're all these different colors. And whenever I was reading the one-year study plan, I was highlighting everything. And I know one of my friends was like, why are you not supposed to highlight everything? And I was like, yeah, but I've never read the Orthodox Bible study version of the notes and things that go with it. And so I wanted to just go ahead when I started reading this to highlight everything that I read according to the church's tradition on how to interpret the scriptures. So I continued to do that. And so I will still do that as I add to what the lectionary daily readings are, because I've read those already, but I wanted to go back and finish a couple of books that I had read back years ago that are in the Orthodox Old Testament, the Septuagint, which was the version that they would have been reading that was translated into Greek during Jesus's time. And so I read them years ago when I decided to start reading some of that, but I didn't dive deep. And I didn't have, again, the Orthodox tradition of how to interpret them. So I am reading that over, not reason, Wisdom of Solomon, Wisdom of Sirach. And I'm at a certain point in this. And let me tell you, if you ever get a chance, even if you're not Orthodox Christian, if you ever get a chance to read this, and the Catholic Bible has this too, this book is so awesome. Let me tell you, it's like reading Proverbs and then having like 20 additional breakdown details of that particular proverb. So incredibly deep and so rewarding. Oh my goodness. Some of the prayers that I read every day that I've added to my normal prayer routine are things that I read in this book, Wisdom of Sirach. So be sure and check that out. So that is how that part is going. And those daily readings are on our church's website, and they're also on our church's calendar. They're printed on there every year. So that is that part. And then let's kind of get into this. Well, first, let's look at this cover, y'all. So I made this cover, and I didn't use cardboard or anything to put the fabric on top of it. I just used the fabric and glue, and I did it in a video, and if I can remember which one that is, I'll link it in the description for you guys. So let me unclip this and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And so there is this is just tucked in there. This is just fabric and glue. Yeah, and I love it. And I did it several years ago, and I had it with my plants, and it was like my plant journal. And so there's like some onion spray on here. You know, it's just like a neat little patina that I decided to leave there. Yeah. So on the front, what I did is I took some things that were inside the cover that this was in, that I'll talk about in a moment. I took those things out to go inside of here, but it doesn't have all those extra pockets that that other cover had. And so I just used this little binder clip to kind of hold it on there. And then I clipped on some little crosses that I already had so that they would hang over the front. So here I just have like sticky pads, little sticky things that I can use to put additional notes that I just want to maybe write more details about later, that kind of thing. And then I've got several different bookmarks in case I want to actually bookmark a page or so. So this one came from a Dollar Tree card, and it's each and every day is a gift. And then this one I made years ago, Proverbs 3:16. And then this one I did years ago as well, just thanking God for showing me some things. And then this one I made when I was at a different church when I lived in Oklahoma, and 13 things you should give up. I love this. It has some really good little points on here, like perfectionism, dependency on social media. Yeah, it's really good. So I decided to keep those in here to be able to reference and mark things as I go. And then since this is kind of has this opening here, I'm just tucking that inside of there, and then just clipping this on the other side like that. And voila, it's not perfectly centered, but that's okay, because remember, perfectionism is something we always need to give up. Yeah, so yeah, and I can move it over a little bit. So that is that. And then this is the planner that I used last year to start Bible journaling throughout the year, throughout the months. And I really, really enjoyed it. I'll fix that later. I just used different magazines and papers and clippings and stickers. And a lot of this, like this was my checklist to be before my baptism. This is all out of a magazine. It's so pretty. I just kind of doodled on here, used some stickers. I did some paint in here somewhere also. And yeah, I just different craft paper, and I really enjoyed it. And some of these spreads I like a lot. And then like this came from the bulletin from church. These little cutouts are from the bulletins at church. These are pictures from when I got baptized. This was my baptism class. Look how many of us there were. So I did this and I really enjoyed it. I did it all the way up through May, through Pascha, which is what we call Easter, what it was originally called, because it was basically the Passover lamb, which is who Christ was. And then I stopped. And part of the reason why I stopped was because I had a lot going on. I had flooding at my house. My husband had passed away several months before, and I needed to file my taxes through an extension, and I had to shut everything down. I did no YouTube videos, nothing that I didn't have to do from May through October. And so then I have all these blank ones. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to cut these labels off. I have some other ones I can use, and I'm going to start this right here with January 2025. So this, and I'll mark that, and I'll put some kind of thing in the front that says 2024, then 2025. And I got this planner from Dollar Tree, and it's a really good little planner, and it's very lightweight. So after I finish, so you know, I'll have only half of a year in here, and I like that it's undated because I didn't use it all, you know, during that year. So after I've done half a year, then I will use another one, and I'm planning on going actually here today or tomorrow to go look for one at Dollar Tree that's about the same, similar design, similar size, and then I'll just switch to that for that other half of the year. And I'm totally fine with that because I don't want to waste this, and you know, why? And so yeah, so that helps me on these months. You know, I'll put what the reading is, even though it's on the calendar. That calendar is one place in the house. I can keep that here, and it just looks nice. and reference that. And then I have Bible study, which we'll talk about in a second, and not Bible study, theology class on Tuesday nights. And so I'll put that, and what the readings are for that will be listed on here. And then kind of what I thought I would do on here that I didn't do before. Here I put, here I read a specific book during Lent, and so I wrote down which reading I had to do that day, and other things, because we have a lot of church during Lent. But so I did that on here. But what I also want to do, I'm not sure if I'll read a different book this year or not, but what I'd also like to do is just whatever the readings were for that day, whatever I read, whether it's for theology class or the daily readings on the lectionary for the year for the church, or a book that I read for Lent, I want to write something that I learned that day on these weekly parts rather. So that is my intention. And then, do pictures and stickers and all, and just flood it with life and color. So that's what I plan on doing there. Looking forward to that. And then here we have this book, which I started to journal out of. I do ASMR journal with me videos, and I only do one page on here. And there was something about it, like I like this, got the scripture here, but I don't know, I felt like it was reserved. It should be reserved for something, and I didn't know what. And so I hadn't used it again. And I just decided to keep that because it's really, really pretty. It's got the scripture on it. And I don't remember where I got this from, actually. It's so pretty. It has Deuteronomy 31 on here, and I love it. But what I'm going to do with this is, so right now we're studying a book about the incarnation that was written by one of the church fathers in the 1st century. And right now I'm writing all of my notes from the theology class all in my book, which is fine. I have no problem with that. If it's something that I'm going to study, I have no problem writing inside of a book for studying purposes. But I also like to be able to flip through and reference, where I can just sit there and really read what was said or what I got out of what was in that section, almost like this becomes a book. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is what I used when I was studying to be baptized as an Orthodox Christian, and I really enjoyed it, and it's very pretty. So there was a bunch of different video lessons, there were audio lessons. I don't think I kept notes for the audio lessons, although maybe I did. But all the video lessons, like, it took up almost this whole book. So there were also audio lessons. There was a book to read and all of these different things. And I took notes for almost all of it. And then I put, like, if it was a video lesson, I put the name of it here. And then I took notes for everything. And I went back periodically because I had to fill out some forms and highlighted sections of it. And I still reference this today. Even in theology class, I remember things that I learned from this because I wrote, because, for me, sometimes just hearing or just watching on a video, the whole learning theory thing is not enough for me. But if I also write it down, if I have all of those, video, seeing, hearing, and writing it down, I totally remember. So sometimes in theology class, someone will say, wow, you really got some good theological background. I'm like, oh, Father John taught us all that in our catechism courses before we were baptized. And, I referenced it and I took notes and highlighted, and that's why I remember. And I really do remember. I mean, it's deep down in my brain. And so that sounds weird, deep down in my brain. Anyway, I remember. So, yeah, and then there was like a couple of times we met. So here's the tabs. I need to change out on that planner. So there were a couple of other things. Like, I started a Bible study in here, but I was like, there's not enough pages left really for that. But I met my godmother, and I met with him to ask some questions about things, and I took notes in there. And then being a reader at church, I took some notes for that. We met with him about what happens when we die, so I took notes for that. So yeah, so that is what I am looking to do in this beautiful book right here through the theology class, and then anything else that, I start to have questions about or want to dig deeper in, or any other books that I read that I want to be able to flip through like that book and enjoy in that way. So thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it gave you some tips for your plan. And if you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and comment and share. It really helps my channel a lot. And it tells that YouTube algorithm to recommend my videos. I'm also going to put across the screen for you guys my channel members so I can thank them so much for their help. Thank you guys. And if you're interested in becoming a channel member as well, just click the link in the description below, or you can go to my channel page and click on join. You guys, please take care of yourselves. Take care of your body. We only have one. And take care of your soul, your spirit, seeking first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness. And until next time, everyone, you guys continue to pray for me, and I'll continue to pray for you. Happy adventures!